You're listening to the Small and Supercharged Podcast with Ria Freeman, episode 211. So on today's Small and Supercharged Podcast, we are joined by Sarah. I say Sarah Elebert, but you've got a different name now. Are you still Elebert for the purposes of this?
Yes, still Elebert, okay. Yes.
It's not that Sarah's two people. I mean, it sounds
like married.
Yeah, it sounds like you're leading a double life, to be honest. Anyway, great intro. You'll know Sarah if you listened to the podcast before. Sarah is a masterminder and does all sorts of things. But we're also joined by Shane to talk about their new venture, which is called Equitas. So thank you very much for joining me. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
What an intro. So do you want to just tell us a bit about you? Obviously, I know we know Sarah, but it'd be great to have just a bit of a reminder, and then we can obviously find out a bit about Shane as well.
Yeah, great. So you guys, you might have remembered me being on the podcast. A little bit has changed since I've probably been on last. One of which, the biggest thing probably, is that I am now a mum to my beautiful daughter Paige. So she is now coming up. She's almost 5 months now.
No.
Yeah, she's almost 5 months. She was born January. Yeah, the year is flying by.
Oh my God, honestly, in my head she was born like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, no, she's nearly 5 months. Yeah. So she's busy. I'm back coaching. I was back competing for the first time last weekend, and just kind of trying to find the balance and the juggle between the life and the work situation. So it's going well. It's busy, but it's going well. I'm very happy about it. So everything is still kind of taking over nicely with my own private coaching with EquiCoach Online, and then obviously this new venture Equitas that we're going to be talking about today.
Brilliant. And Shane, tell us about you.
I actually have no background whatsoever in horses. My background is all marketing and media. I was involved in startups since I left college. About a month after I left college, I set up my first startup in 2012. Built some technology for the transport industry. Then got onto a rostering system. And then around 2015, really jumped straight into marketing. We refused to take investment on a previous startup. So we decided to bootstrap, which meant we didn't have any money. I was eating a lot of beans on toast, to be honest. And decided, right, well, if we're going to grow this, I need to become good at marketing. So that's my passion of building brands through marketing and media. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. As Sarah will tell you that. It's all I do. I live and breathe. It's my lifestyle. I love it. Then in 2018, I set up a company called Horseplay with Mike, who's my co-founder in the Grassroots Gazette. We bought out another partner for that about 2 years ago, and me and Mike took it over ourselves. And then we pivoted towards launching Ireland's first ever grassroots media brand called the Grassroots Gazette, which is now the fastest growing media brand in Ireland or the UK for the equine industry. About 19,500 subscribers in 5.5 months.
Crikey, that is impressive.
Yeah, it's gone really well. And then the big thing that came from that was meeting wonderful people like Sarah. So 75% of our writers for the Grassroots Gazette are female. We have about 72 writers, I think, or 73. And from listening to everything that they've been talking about, and where there isn't equity in the industry and there isn't justice and fairness for all, which is, we'll get onto that with Equitas. We decided, myself, Mike, and the two Sarahs, Sarah Campbell and Sarah Elebert, we said, look, let's fix this. And that's Equitas was born. That was really it. And now we're going to launch what will hopefully be the biggest equine media brand for women in the world. We want to change things and transform the industry. And yeah, it's exciting. It is the most exciting thing I've ever been involved in, I would say. We could see that yesterday from our Monday Motivation campaign. Me and Sarah were talking about it. If we get 3 or 4 people posting, okay, maybe we have something. If we get 10 to 15, we definitely have something. When people start tagging you from the UK, Wales, New Zealand, America on your Monday Motivation, you're going, Equitas will be big. It's about time there was a positive movement for women across the world in the equine industry. So that's what we're going to do.
Really exciting. So there's 4 of you behind the brand, isn't there?
Yeah.
And everybody met through the Grassroots Gazette. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Super exciting. So the idea obviously is to create this amazing media brand for equestrian women. So how do you kind of see that playing out? Like, what kind of stuff will you be talking about? How is it different to what is out there already?
We are looking at creating a safe space for women to come together, support each other, champion each other. We're looking to give women a voice so they can be heard. We want to give women a chance to tell their stories, inspire, motivate, educate other women. And ultimately, we want to see more women in leadership roles throughout the industry. There's definitely, as you go up the levels, the ratio between male and female changes. So while the women are the foundation and the backbone of the equestrian industry worldwide, as you go up the levels, they taper off and the ratio goes against us. So we want to encourage more women to have the confidence to go for it and to go for those leadership roles and support them and help them and give them a voice when we can.
And I think that the time for change is here. This is it. Like, we've had Me Too, we've had He for She, we've had these movements, but no movement like this has taken off in the equine industry for women. This is our moment. This is our chance. This is our movement. The Equitas generation will be that movement. When you see 3-4-time Olympians contacting us to ask can they come on lives, when we have 600 odd followers and they have 50,000 or 80,000 and they're contacting us from New Zealand or Australia, well, it just backs up Sarah's point. They see this as a safe space. This is going to be a brand for them. I mean, we have 4 co-founders, 6 advisors. The ratio is 8-2, 8 females, 2 men. And the 2 guys are involved in another business who have 75% females. I don't have any brothers. I have 2 sisters. Mike doesn't have any brothers. He has 2 sisters. This is about putting the infrastructure in place that no more, this won't happen anymore. The generations after us, Paige, Princess Paige, Sarah's daughter, Samuel, Sarah Campbell's son, who she only had 2 weeks ago, they won't have to live the life we've lived if we do this right. They will come into a whole new generation, the Equitas generation, where they get to live with justice, fairness, and equity. That's what Equitas means. It stands for justice, fairness, and equity for all. And that name came from Sarah Campbell. But it also sends out a message. When you look, we put up a beautiful photo yesterday on a Zoom call. Myself, Mike, Sarah Elebert, and Sarah Campbell, and Sarah has Paige, and Sarah Campbell has Samuel. And I must have got 100 messages last night. People gone, but this is what you want. This is the message to send out. You know, you'll have people in traditional world is going, well, you can't have partners with the kids. We're going to, no. This is you got this all wrong. We want people like that. We want people like Sarah with us. We're all co-founders in this. This sends out a message to the world that times are changing.
Yeah.
You know, the equine industry needs to change with it, and you know, in its most fundamental way. That's what we're going to do. This is about revolution here. This is about giving women what they've deserved for decades. And that's what you need to do. You know, that's what we need to deliver, and we will.
And I think in the mainstream, there's been a lot of talk about more flexible working, particularly for women with children. Although obviously it's not, you know, in the mainstream, you know, men now actually taking on a much greater role. I'm really lucky. I've got 2 6-year-olds. God, dramatic pause. And I forgot how old they were. And I'm really lucky that when we had them.
In your defense, Ria, they're twins. So I mean, yeah.
I get. I'm good. I'm really lucky. My husband is still incredibly involved with them, and we really do like split the graft of the management of the children, 50-50-ish. But yeah, that's quite a, you know, even at the time just a few years ago, that was quite a oh right, okay, that's an interesting thing. But and I think more and more, I think coronavirus may have helped because people have been working at home more and been able to actually realise that it's nice to drop their kids off and pick them up, or be able to go to sports days and things. I know it's not all about the child aspect, but I think for women, often that child rearing aspect does fall on women more.
Definitely.
And does mean that you're potentially missing out or at a disadvantage if you are trying to progress up the ladder or you want to do more, because people see you've got a small child attached to you and they kind of perhaps tar you with a brush.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if you look at it, like, I'm going to take Sarah Elebert. I'll give her the compliment while we're on this. We may as well, Sarah. If Sarah can do enough work, like, meaning, so you have somebody who doesn't have kids and it takes them 8 or 10 hours to do something. Now, Sarah has a 5-month-old and it takes her 2 hours to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, why shouldn't Sarah have a right to do whatever she wants. If she's smart enough, intuitive enough, hungry enough, and good enough to be able to do it in a shorter amount of time and give the same or better value, which is exactly what she does, what's the difference there? Why are we being difficult for the sake of being difficult? If we want to create a better society, a better world for our kids, for the next generation, surely we should be looking at the output and the outcome as opposed to the input and the time. So when you look at it and you go, it fundamentally has to change for women all over the world. I have a sister who has a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. And the amount of pressure that gets put on because her husband is a guard. Now, he's really good as well with the kids, but you need that balance. You need that ratio. If somebody's good enough, if any woman around the world is good enough to get this done the way that it needs to be done for the output side and the execution side, well, then we shouldn't be putting restrictions or parameters on anybody. It makes no logical sense. None whatsoever.
Yeah. And I think as well, and I mean, I'm not sort of saying all men are awful, because I genuinely, hand on heart, don't believe that for a second. But I think that over the years, you can see how like men's confidence is quite different to a woman's, and kind of imposter syndrome. I know men also get imposter syndrome as well, but it's much more prevalent in women, isn't it? And it's quite interesting when you kind of dive into it, that whole kind of history in our evolution, and how that then currently and still does affect the way that women are seen in different roles.
Well, like, I think if you look, as I said before, if you look at the foundation of the sport being predominantly female, and then as you go up the levels, it's predominantly male at the higher levels, it's very easy to kind of say, well, do the males have more opportunities? Are they more competitive? Are they more driven, more hardworking? And it's very easy to kind of ask those questions and whatever. And basically what we're trying to say is that, well, it's not equality it's equity that we're looking for. So it's proportional fairness, proportional opportunities to be given. So the women need more support to get to those higher levels. And that is what we're striving for, and with Equitas, we're looking to raise awareness, to highlight their achievements, to champion women, and to give them what they deserve, and to get them to that highest level, if that is so what they wish.
Yeah, I mean, I think
educate men, Sarah, as well. Like one of the things I've learned the most from our co-founders and our advisory board is, this is nothing, coming from a guy, this has nothing got to do with hating men. This is about empowering women. The tagline is empowering change together. It's about empowering a new movement. It's nothing got to do with man hating. It's just a case of, if guys like your husband, like you're touching on, like Sarah's husband, if guys are going to be progressive and they want to be seen that way, if they want to actually change the world for their daughters, their sisters, their mothers, their friends, well, then now is the time to listen and learn. What I realized from listening to the girls all the time, and Mike is the exact same, is this is about empowering a women's movement. It's nothing got to do with men. And the more men think it's got to do with them, the less they're understanding the power of this movement. If we want equity for all, which is what will give us a better place in the world and make the world a better place, then we have to listen, we have to learn, we have to understand, and we have to be progressive together.
Definitely. I mean, I think we are lucky in the equestrian space in that I do appreciate what you're saying, in like the balance isn't there, but there are some incredible women who are in really good, strong positions. I'm lucky enough to work with the British Equestrian Trade Association, and that is headed up by real powerhouse, but one of the nicest people, called Claire Williams, who is incredible. And I'm also lucky enough to work with Bolesworth, and obviously that's headed up by Nina Barber. So there are some really strong women in really good positions, but we just, as you say, it needs to be more like, this is what, if you want to achieve it, here's how to get there, and here's that support. Because I think particularly when you have children, I think you become much better, like much more efficient, much more focused, but it's how that is perceived by people who don't understand, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It can be seen to be, what is it, jack of all trades, master of none kind of a role. But as Shane said earlier on, that's not it. In the actual fact, the women who can get stuff done in a less amount of time, shouldn't be penalized for it. They should be championed. And as he said, it's about the outcome, not the input that goes into it. That's what's important. The women, like the ones that you've mentioned there, like we want to get those women on live streams. We want to get them writing articles. We want to give them a platform to actually inspire, educate, and motivate all women, and to look up to them and to strive for them, and as I said, if that's what they want to go for, that they know it's possible, and create change and create the change the understanding of people, and as Shane said, of men as well as women. Like we need the supportive men, we need them as allies, and this is not about a man-hating campaign in any shape or form. It's, and if they said, well, you know, what's it got to do with, the answer is nothing. It's got nothing to do with men. Bar we want their support and we need them as allies. But I spent my life being supported by men, you know, my dad, my brother, my husband, you know what I mean? If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing. Even go back to the co-founder situation between Shane and Mike supporting me and Sarah. Like, I've just had a baby, Sarah's just had a baby, you know, and if it wasn't for their support and their drive, you know.
Well, we're doing awesome things to add into that, Sarah. Like, Sarah had a baby. By the time we came for co-founders, Paige was about 3.5 months old, for argument's sake. And we knew Sarah Campbell was going to have a baby in about 6 weeks. The net effect of that has been, we're about to launch the biggest movement for equine women in the world. We have over 100 submissions for excerpts in when we were doing our draft to see how many people wanted to write. Wow. I'll have to ring Sarah after this. We selected 2015 yesterday. Our designers told me last night, a female-led designer I'll highlight, that we should have at least 5 more articles, and on top of this, I haven't even talked to Sarah about it. This is the first she's hearing about it.
Well, there you go.
An exclusive. The point I'm making though is, it's nonsense to think that this can't be done when we can see the power of having Sarah Campbell and Sarah Elebert and me and Mike as co-founders. The net effect has been, we have an incredibly strong advisory board. We have women reaching out to us from all over the world. We've had over 100 submissions. This, for all of the growth and the speed that the Grassroots Gazette has grown at, I think Equitas will dwarf it. And that's with having the wonderful Princess Paige, who's only 5 months old, and Prince Samuel, is only 2 weeks old, if even. And I'm going, it's just nonsense to believe we can't do this. We have 2 incredibly powerful women side by side with us, and we can see the net effect. And very soon, the whole world will be able to see the net effect. And then you go, well, tell us how it can't be done, because I can show you how it is being done. And that's what we're talking about. It's about showing people and leading this movement. And we couldn't be prouder to be on this journey with our 2 other co-founders who have had beautiful kids lately. And we're going to change the future for them. But to tell us it can't be done just doesn't make any sense, because we're in the middle of doing it. We're in the arena, and the outcomes we're getting so far are pretty spectacular.
So how does your kind of vision translate across? Because you said you've had a lot of submissions. So how does that work? Thinking, I know by the time this comes out, your first issue will be out, but how does it work? Is it like a printed magazine? Is it online? What are you doing on social? How is it all coming together?
It's an equine digital media brand and magazine. So we're going to remain online, we're going to remain digital, and we're doing that for the sole purpose of going global with it. That's the main reason for that. But we have our socials. Actually, at the moment, we've block booked. What did I say, Shane? 20 weeks, was it, of live streams?
Wow!
This is not joking. Like, we're doing Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. And
oh my God.
To show the level, right? To show the level, like, we're going to change all this Thursday. We have an edition for the Grassroots Gazette coming up Friday, and the designer's birthday. 2 of the designers' birthdays are this weekend. To cut a long story short, the 2 girls have told us everything needs to be done by Wednesday night. So by Thursday, I would speculate we'll have about 60 to 70 women from across the world, from Olympians to world champions to European champions, from dressage to eventing, to show jumping, to horse racing, all lined up for interviews 3 times a week. And I think at this moment in time, there's something like 45. So at 3 a week, you've 15 weeks sorted. Now, we've only started this to set down the tone here a week ago.
Oh my God. I mean, I do live streams. That is a big old ask. I've got no doubt that you'll smash it, but wow.
Yeah. So by the time Thursday comes around, and I guarantee you, because I'm getting messages literally here on it, this is somebody saying that there's somebody else and there's a new person joining the live streams. But the point is, backing up Sarah, is that shows you what's happening. you can tell us one thing, but if you're living it and you're in it and you can see it and you can feel it, it's as real as possible. We're in this now. We will probably have, within a week or 10 days, 100 women lined up for live streams to cover the next 6 months.
Wow.
And women of all levels from all aspects of the industry. That shows why empowering change together will work. That shows that women do want justice, fairness, and equity for all. It shows that having two powerhouse co-founders like Sarah and Sarah is an absolute advantage in every single sense of the word. Why? Results, output. This is what we're getting. So if anybody, do this, follow this. Now, admittedly, you do need people like Sarah Campbell and Sarah Elebert. You do need powerhouses, people who are visionaries and people who execute really well. But there's no way around this. Results are results. That's what you want if you're running a business, is outputs.
Definitely. So you're going to have this digital magazine, and you've asked for you've asked people to submit ideas, haven't you, at this stage? I know by the time this goes out, you will have that first issue out. So they've sent you
108 different submissions in 2.5 weeks, from
amazing.
Wales to the UK to Canada, America, and Australia.
This is incredible. And these are all from like female-led businesses that want to...
female-led. From the youngest submission we got was a girl who was 13. No, she obviously won't get to go into it. We will make sure that she gets some coverage 100%. And the oldest submission we got was, I rang a lady yesterday. I'll just say her name is Rachel. I won't go any further. She is in her early 70s, and I literally had to send a voicemail to all the co-founders afterwards, and I broke the news that her article got into Equitas. It was a 12.5-minute phone call. There was 11.5 minutes of tears, that she is going to be part of history, that this is the legacy she will leave behind, that she will have been at the start of a women's movement, a positive movement for women in the equine industry. Surreal it's probably an understatement. This is the only thing I feel bad for Sarah Campbell and Sarah here, is I get to do these calls. Now, in fairness, I don't have kids. They get the whole page and Samuel, so I don't think they regret it too much, to be fair, when you look at the photo from yesterday. But what we want to move towards is an online publishing platform with a media brand. There's tools like Ghost Publishing, which will be the future, where they use artificial intelligence to migrate publishing platforms. That's where we'll end up with a big media brand around it, because it would be very unfair to us and what we've done and what we're trying to do to say we're a magazine. Because of 3 live streams a week, because of 100 potentially lined up, because of interviews that we're going to be doing, the special features we'll be having, the events we'll be attending. It's so much more than that. It's about creating the world's biggest equine media brand for women. That's the goal.
With lots of different styles, different types of content.
100%. And I would say even sub-brands, where you go and you go like I love the Women's Irish Network for racing. But could you do a racing brand underneath Equitas? Could you do something for that 13-year-old who wants to submit a piece? Could you do something for Paige when she turns 5 or 6? This is the beauty of running things like the way we run it. I mean, the only, like Sarah talks about this all the time, being limitless. There is no limit on this. The limit is only as big as our vision is and as big as our character is. That's it.
So obviously you're about to put your first, I say, issue in inverted commas, because it sounds, as you say, when you've got all these live streams and stuff, it sounds wrong to say it's an issue when it's you're putting out that content from your 20 amazing contributors, but you're going to have so much other stuff going on as well. So up to now, I know you're very new as a kind of business and brand, but I'm pretty sure you've got good answers for this. Have you had any kind of surprises so far since you came up with the idea? Because whenever we come up with a new concept or a new idea for anything, we think, well, we think it's a good idea. We think it's solid. And then you launch it and you're like, oh God, I hope everyone else does too. Obviously, in your case, they absolutely have. But have you been quite sort of overwhelmed, surprised by the response you've had? Anything particularly that you've kind of gone, whoa, this is really interesting?
Yeah, I think we know this is gonna be big. We've said we're back in it. We 100% believe in it with our heart and soul. We're especially the 4 co-founders and the advisory team. hugely passionate about it. As Shane said, from the inside, you can just feel how this is going to go. This is really, really exciting. This is change. But I don't know if we're prepared for how big it's going to be.
No.
And even when Shane said to me yesterday after the call with the lady Rachel to say that her article was successful and got in, I even said I don't think we've even appreciated what that actually means to people. So that was surprising to me yesterday. It shouldn't be, because it means as much to me, but that it can translate and mean as much to others who necessarily aren't in the background team and aren't driving it are as passionate about it as we are. And that just shows how big this can actually be, and that it's really necessary. I mean, I've spoken to a few people in the industry, and the phrase glass ceilings have been used so many times, you know, and that's what we're literally bursting through, is those glass ceilings.
Yeah,
I love that. I don't know, I think, you know, from my end, like, I think for me and Mike anyway, we have the support of our two co-founders and an amazing advisory group. But for us, we need to understand the importance of the role we play here. And don't get me wrong, look, everybody give us pats on the back and say you're great for doing this and being involved. Look, I have two sisters, Mike has two sisters. This isn't how it works. You don't get a pat on the back and well done for being just a good guy. That should be a given, that you're going to be a good guy, that you're going to be respectful, honourable, you know, that you're going to inspire others if you can. But the challenge for us, I think, will just try to be ourselves and own our stuff. I know the first live stream, like, I don't mind public speaking. I've done it for years. I don't mind live streams. The most nervous I've ever been in a live stream was the first live stream I done to make an announcement for Equitas. Not even close. Not even. I just didn't want to let my mum down, or my partner down, or my sisters down, or my co-founders down. But look, that's the challenge we have in front of us, and we need to. That'll be the biggest challenge for me and Mike. I think the message we're going to send out to guys across the world through our behaviours, through our actions, through our language, through how we position ourselves. But at the end of the day, I say it all the time, and Sarah will smile when she hears me say this: with great power comes great responsibility. And I firmly believe that. It may be a quote from Spider-Man, but
if Spider-Man works for you,
it is 100% true, and I believe it. I think if you have the power to change the world, well, and you own yourself, and you love yourself, and you appreciate yourself and those around you, well then, with great power comes great responsibility. That means you have a responsibility to go change the world too. I think we're going to get pushback on this. Let's be clear. I mean, is every media brand in the world going to be comfortable about us trying to launch the biggest equine media brand for women? Probably not. Did we get messages? Did I get messages last night telling me I was wrong to my own personal account at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning? Big long messages? Absolutely. Did I mind? No, I had a great chat at 2:30 in the morning. This is why you're wrong. I wouldn't be standing down from it. No, you can't see this. You're looking at this analytics. I'm looking at this movement. We're not looking at the same thing. You're going to get pushback, but let's be clear. If we were doing something wrong, like if people didn't believe this and we wouldn't be getting any pushback. If they thought this wasn't going to go anywhere, if they didn't think this was going to change the world or be a revolution, then they'd be like, nah, ignore them. Who cares? The fact that we are.
We also wouldn't have had like 109, did you say, submissions? I
wouldn't go on with an Olympian, a 3-time Olympian gone from New Zealand gone, can I come on your show? Can I, like, you know, there'd only been one live stream. Can I come on and join your, I'd love to get my message out to the world. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we can make that work. Yeah, definitely.
So exciting. Our calendar, you know.
So exciting. So in terms of sort of your next steps, obviously you're launching your first one on the 1st of July. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah.
So will you be like releasing new issues in inverted commas every month or every 2 months, or how is it, like, how does it look for people who want to subscribe and get involved?
Yeah, it's going to be a monthly publication, one per calendar month. But I think the big thing to portray here is that we will listen to our readership, we listen to our audience, and we will go where they want us to go. If they want more, we'll do more. You know what I mean? If they want us to, whatever avenue they want us to take, we'll go there. We'll listen to them, and that's the whole idea, that we will follow their lead, and we will listen.
And the big thing as well will be to make it a standalone brand. So that's the, answering your question on how does it look and feel. Because of the bandwidth, I'll put it that way, that the Grassroots Gazette gives us, and because of the length of time we have involved there, or we can commit, for the first 4 editions, I'd speculate, I think that's what we were saying, Sarah,
Yeah.
4 or 5, that the Grassroots, that Equitas will be released through the Grassroots Gazette. It gives us access to the subscriber base. It builds a way bigger and stronger narrative initially. So you're probably talking about up until October or November. But by the time we hit January 2nd, Equitas will be a standalone brand. It won't be a web page within the Grassroots Gazette, because that's what women want, need, and deserve. And we have to respect that as well. So by January 2nd, for argument's sake, that's when Equitas, at the latest, will become a standalone brand with its own website, probably with its own app, probably with its own publishing features within it, with different subscription models attached to it. I think our agreement at the moment is it's going to be free for the first 6 months, for our first 6 months. Again, that's what we've done with the Grassroots Gazette. It was free for a year, but it was around building out a wider base. It's not around making money, it's around making a movement. But it'll come out every month. It's going to be a lot of fun. And when you build in all the other video content around it, and all the other interviews and the special features, and like if you see some of the ideas that the advisory group, and like we have an amazing advisory group. Like,
unreal.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. The connection they have and the symmetry they give us is from confidence coaches to people with huge experience to people who would see themselves just as grassroots folk. And then when you connect them all together, it's just like, wow, this is what it's like when a movement is together, this energy. But to go back, we can't wait. I certainly can't, and I know the rest of the crew are probably the same, for Equitas to be a standalone brand, because that's what it deserves to be and needs to be. But to give us the best scalability in the short term, for the first 4 to 5 months, it'll come out through the Grassroots Gazette.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. You need to get people to know about it. And while social media is incredible for that, and it's great that even though you're publishing once a month, you actually get that complete 365 ability to speak to your audience, to essentially market research, talk about things and see what's really hitting those notes with people. But at least through the Grassroots Gazette, you've already developed a really, really strong base of people who are, as you say, 75% of your target audience anyway. It makes perfect sense to be putting that in front of them too. So in terms of where people can find out more about everything Equitas, where would they go, and how do they subscribe? Do they follow, like, what do they do to get access to everything?
You go to the grassrootsgazette.ie currently. When you go to the grassrootsgazette.ie, literally just go to it. You'll see a big button coming across. We only designed it last night. Sarah hasn't even seen it yet. I'll be sending her on the link straight after this.
Described it to me perfectly last night.
I was ringing Sarah. I'm like, Sarah, right, the designer's gone for a few minutes. And this is what I mean. You don't need loads of time. What was this, like 9:30, Sarah?
Yeah.
I'm like, Sarah, right, just need to run something by you for 2 minutes. Mike was busy. Sarah Campbell was busy. Sarah's like, yeah, perfect. Jumps on the phone. I'm like, right. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what the designer's just got to make. She's gone getting some ice cream.
Picture this.
Yeah. I'm like, Sarah, can you visualize this? Sarah's like, yeah, go. I'm like, right. So you come in and it's this, and I'm describing it as if Sarah's looking at me. I'm here on the phone with the phone down here on the table. Right, picture this, and I'm envisaging that Sarah's doing the same thing, whether she was or wasn't.
Oh, bless you.
And I'm going, right. And then Sarah's like, yeah, I like that. Or maybe we could change this, or we could do this. I'm like, right, excellent, catch you later, bye. And then the designer comes back. I'm like, right, so here's what me and Sarah have thought. And we jump in. But what we have is something that looks really cool. I mean, it's got a flow. The one thing we haven't mentioned so far that will be on it will be, we're launching an international advocate program.
Okay.
So the goal here, and this will be a really important thing for us, we've never tried this before, but we're setting a big goal. Can we get 5,000? And I'm going to put this as public as possible so we can be held accountable to this. I don't like hiding things.
This is the part that scares me when Shane gets into numbers. This is what we're going to do. And I'm going, oh my God, okay, right.
Yeah,
we know about goal setting.
Going at it. I won't retract it now. Like,
you need to be specific.
Find out, we're going to be as specific and as big ranging as possible. I want to find out, curiosity killed the cat and all that. Can we get 5,000 women to sign up to Equitas on day one?
Oh, and that'll be the 1st of July.
On the 1st of July. Now it's either on day one or before day one. But what we done was to come up with this, because it's never been done before, I don't think. Now again, when you're building something like we're done and that hasn't been done, it's fairly obvious to say, because I know we'll get pushed back on this, or somebody will say it to me anyway. But if it hasn't been done before, of course it hasn't been done yet. So but we come up with a strategy. You know, if we're going to try and take on the world, you have to be fearless. The relentless pursuit of excellence doesn't change. It doesn't stop. It's relentless, and you're pursuing excellence. That's the whole point. So 5,000 women signed up to Equitas by day one or on day one. So we created this idea called an international advocate program. So on the Equitas website, and I'll be sharing with Sarah straight after this, will be sign up to be an international advocate. And what you want to do is turn over and go, right, do you know 10 women in the equine industry? And you go, well, yeah, actually, I know loads of women in the equine industry. No, we just want 10. And what we want you to do is, and it'll be 2 strands, either we send you the link that the day that Equitas goes live, and you send it to 10 of your female friends in the equine industry, and you go, you really need to sign up to this. Now, if you can create, for argument's sake, 500 women signed up from around the world, like you, like Sarah, like my partner Marie, who know loads of women, Mike's Mrs. Ash, Sarah Campbell, all of our advisory group. I mean, we're already moving towards 20 people. We only need to go 25x that. We're on a global scale here. So if you can get 500 women around the world willing to share this movement, this magazine, this media brand, the future fundamentally, with 10 of their friends, why can't we get 5,000 people to sign up on Monday?
Sarah, you better just shove it in Mastermind and Small and Supercharged. I mean, I feel like now we've got to do this, because I feel like Shane has thrown down this gauntlet. I feel like our group of people are going to probably overlap. So put it in Mastermind. They're a great bunch. Put it in the normal group. They're a great bunch. Let's just do it, and then you've done it. Okay.
But then you're able to go, and when people go, you know, how did you create a women's movement so quick? Women created a women movement so quick. We just had a creative idea, and I put it very public, and then Sarah gave out to me, and then
yeah, we best just get it done, Sarah.
I think so. Yeah, if you said it now, Sarah, you know, it has to be done.
Yeah, now it's public, kind of screwed. So you best just do it.
Gotta try these things. Well, when this comes out at that stage, the narrative could be,
you've done
actually, it. Yes, we got 10,000 people, or 5,000 people, or 2,000, but you could come in and go, we want to get 100 people to sign up. Where's the dream? Where's the vision? Where's the, you know, the possibilities are limitless. You can't talk about having limitless possibilities if your goal is to have 100 people sign up on day one. We have, if we put the website live today, there'll be 100 people signed up by tomorrow. So
I'm just looking at when this is going to come out, you know, because it's
July 1st, Friday, 2 weeks.
I know, just see when this podcast is going to come out. It's going to be the 13th of July this comes out. So it's going to already been gone for 2 weeks. So you're already going to be at 5,000. If you're listening to this and you haven't signed up, please do, because basically it'll help my ego, and Sarah will feel happy, and so will Shane. So
and I won't get in too much trouble. So that's great.
Yeah, exactly. So do that. Very exciting. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the Small and Supercharged audience before I ask you all the places where people can find you online and on social media?
I think the biggest thing is that, as Shane said earlier on, this is it. The time for change is now. This is our opportunity. He said it about the wider and the move have been going on. There's been nothing like this done before in the equine industry for women. So we are calling on the women of the equine industry to get behind us, get involved. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your stories. And we want to, as I said before, educate, inspire and motivate all the women from grassroots level right the way up to the top levels of the sport. We want more women in leadership roles. We want women to know just how powerful they are. And as Shane said, you know, this is a movement. This is changing the way for future generations of women in the equine industry. And that's why we are tagging ourselves as the Equitas generation.
Amazing.
No, I'm not going to say anything as half as inspiring as that, so I'm not even going to go down that route.
No pressure.
That's just too good, like. So I'm not even going to try. I'm going to go to marketability side of it. It's a safer bet rather than trying to follow that lead. You can see why Sarah's a powerhouse. I just won't even try. 2 to 3 things. One, please join us in being an international advocate for Equitas. All we want you to do is connect us in with your friends, with people, with women you know, and people, by the way. This is, like I said, guys can read this just as much as women. I'll be writing in it, Mike will be writing in it. But if you want to be an international advocate, please join us. Join us as we create a movement, be part of history. That's the first thing. The second thing is, every Monday, we're doing this really, really cool campaign, and we would love women all over the world to join us. Yesterday was the first time we did it. Yesterday was June 13th, was it?
Yeah.
So when we're recording this, June 13th, that was the first time we ever did it. It's called Monday Motivation with Equitas. So really just hashtag Monday Motivation, tag at Equitas Era and Instagram. And all we're doing is sending positive messages to women all over the world. It's women, inspiring women to start off their week, to instill this belief into them. And yesterday was, I think this will be huge. We would love nothing more than every Monday the thousands of women from the equine industry all over the world are arriving to the Equitas Era account, and they're coming to hear from other women to inspire their mind and to warm their hearts. And the last thing is hashtag the Equitas generation. Sarah touched on it at the end. I mean, this is a movement for women that has never been seen before. We would love you to join hashtag the Equitas generation. If you're doing something inspiring, if you want to send a message to women across the world, if you want to tell a story, you want to do anything, when you're putting up your post on Instagram, hashtag the Equitas generation. I check it every single day. I'm on it all the time. At this moment in time, we own all of the posts on it, meaning they're all from us. We would love that to spread across the world. But other than that, look, join the movement. We're here. We're here to change the world forevermore after this, and we would love you all to join us on that journey.
Amazing. So if you want to subscribe, they need to go to the grassrootsgazette. Is it IE?
.ie, yeah.
Amazing. And then your Instagram is
at Equitas Era. So EQUITASEIRE.
Amazing.
And then on Facebook, it's just Equitas.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for joining me today. You've been fab to talk to. Bloomin' love an Irish accent anyway, so I've had a lovely time. Sarah knows this. I'm like, I could listen to you speak all day. So thank you so much for joining me, and I cannot wait to see the Equitas journey start and continue to just be amazing.
Thank you, Ria.
Thank you very much.